Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So, okay, just for starters, I want to make more videos where my channel emulates this like podcasty vibe where I am just spewing whatever thoughts come in my head. It's going to be uncut, unscripted. You're getting like Aquila in 4K. Um, just because, I consume many genres of YouTube, but what I enjoy most is listening to people just talk, with like their messy background. Hopefully this is not messy, but like, uncut, unserious, just like without that YouTube persona. And I would say I try to keep my channel authentic for the most part. Sometimes, I throw in that little persona, just to make it a little fun, I guess. But I definitely want to emulate the videos that I love to watch, and hopefully you guys would like these videos more while I'm just talking, and I'm more open, more vulnerable, I guess. But yeah, so I know the title seems a little bit like catfishy, not catfishy. What's the word? Clickbaity. This title seems pretty clickbaity. But just so you guys know, this title is not exaggerated in any way. I mean what I say in a literal sense. It's not figurative. I do believe that we aren't humans, we are spirit and matter, and that this world is an illusion. It's simply not real. I will dissect both parts of my statement. The first one, where I said that we are spirit and matter. So, just for background, I grew up in a Christian household. Also, a disclaimer, although I was and still am around religion for like I went to the church. Well, I attended church since I was a kid. Not even actually since I was in the womb. Literally in the womb, I would go to church. So I've been around Christianity like before I like as I was being conceived, like in the womb. So I know a lot about like Christianity, but my videos aren't based by any religious doctrine. These videos are about me and my experience solely, and of course you aren't immune to influence, but I try to keep my videos as unbiased as possible because these videos are supposed to be about me and not about like religion or like not even spirituality. It's I may talk about spiritual things, but these are my experiences. But yeah, like I said, I grew up in a Christian household where when you go to church, this phrase is often heard that we're not humans and we are spirit and matter, that this world is carnal and it's fleeting so fast, and we are just living, we're souls in the human experience. And also it's evident that we are more than human because when you pass away, you don't take the body with you to whatever realm or place you go to. It leaves. Leaves you and it rots and decays. I know, morbid, but it's true. So that already shows we are more than the human body, and I believe most people believe that. I believe most people already know that we are more than the human body. So that statement, I think that's easy to grasp, and I'm under the impression that most people already know that we are more than human. But I think you guys came for the second part of what I'm saying, that this world is an illusion. And like I'm going to reiterate, I don't mean that in a figurative sense. I literally mean that this world is an illusion, and is not real. So, first, I'm going to define, or this is what I believe realness is. This is what I believe, what the collective defines realness as. I believe that realness is defined by the degree in which receive sensor we receive sensational input from people, places, and things. And I'll give you an example. Okay, I'll give you a pretty example. I have this like angel statue, and the reason I know, or the reason my brain is telling me that this thing is real, is because when I watch this thing, I'm receiving a visual input from what I'm seeing. When I hold this thing, I'm receiving a sensory input. I'm feeling the texture of this. And if I like drop this thing, it's going to make a sound. So I'm going to receive like an auditory um, sense from this. And if I'm really hungry and I have no food, I might even try to bite this. I'm not going to do it, of course, but then um, a I'll receive taste. That I don't know what you call that, but the sensation of taste. I don't know how to put it, but you guys get the idea that we pretty much define realness by the degree in which we receive sensational input from things. And because I see this, because I can feel this thing is thus real. And we do this to a lot of things. As you're watching this video, you are seeing me, you're hearing me, and thus you can make a um, make an inference, I guess, an assumption, because you don't really know. I could be AI for or all you know, um, but you're making a guess that this person is real, hopefully. But we do, although we define realness by the extent to which we receive sensational sensory input, there are many times where our sensational input deceives us. And although we are receiving this input, the thing that we are receiving this input from is not real. And I'll give you two examples. One example is when you're dreaming. Have you ever had a dream that felt so real? And it was only until you have woken up that you realize that this dream was fake. There's been many occurrences where I had dreams like this. One example is I had a dream where I was falling. And not only did I see myself descend from the clouds, but I actually felt it. I felt my body like fall. And it was only until I woke up that I realized that this was a dream. And I really believe if I didn't wake up from the dream, I would mistake that dream realm from for reality. Let's talk about optical illusions and how optical illusions are 2D images, but when we look at it, they twist and move and they go counterclockwise and clockwise. Sorry guys, my storage is being crazy right now, but yeah, so uh to our knowledge, when optical illusions, move counterclockwise and counterclockwise based on our visual input, in reality, it's just a 2D image. So that's another way how our sensory input deceives us into thinking certain things are real, even though they're not. And even with that example, you might be saying, well, a kilo. Although sometimes our mind deceives us into thinking something is real or not, usually our brain does a good job in perceiving what's real or not, and those occurrences are just like few in number. um I could tell you're real, so what you're saying isn't really valid. Well, now this leads me to my second reason how this world is an illusion. It's simply not real. So now we define realness. Let's define truth, absoluteness, and realness at the same time. And I know sounds pretty abstract, but guys, listen. So, realness, absoluteness, and truth, they are basically like different versions of saying the same thing. And although certain aspects of it and their definition differs, the main basis for all three of these definitions are that they are not relative, they are not objective, and they are stable, which means that they apply to every person, they apply to any era, and they apply to all time. Essentially, they are timeless. Uh, and they don't change. So an example of this is math. Um, in logic, as a well, not really logic. Let's not say logic. Let's just use the example math. 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. In Bangladesh, it's going to equal 4. In Paris, it's going to equal 4. In Trinidad, it's going to equal 4. 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. In the 1920s, it's going to equal 4. In the 1800s, it's going to equal 4. In 2030 is going to equal 4. 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. It's timeless. It's not relative and it's not objective. This is what we define as true. We know 2 plus 2 is 4, not simply because it equals 4, but because it equaling 4 applies to all occurrences. It is what we deem as true. And because it's true, it is stable. It is, it's not flexible. It doesn't adapt to things. It stays in one way. So now let's apply this to reality. And this is gonna get abstract. So guys, we're going on a train right now. Listen up. So as we describe truth, you could already understand reality, how reality is relative. It is objective. It is based on the individual. There's no reality that's similar to another person's reality because our experiences are our experiences. Although our experiences can have similar people in it with similar backgrounds and similar cultures, we all live a different experience. No one lives in the same reality as someone else. Which shows that reality, it's not stable. It's flexible, it's bendable, it's adaptable, it always changes, ever changing. Um, and the thing about truth is that it has to be stable. So think about it this way. If reality is different for every person and everybody, then there's not a absolute reality or absolute experience that we can compare with other realities, which means that there's not really a default reality. There's not one reality. It's not absolute, a true reality. There's not a reality that we can compare with other realities. So think about it this way. If we are all living in realities that are different from one another, super diverse, then what is the true reality? What is the absolute reality? And then, in the same question, what is reality? I'm going to say it again. If we are all living in different realities and there isn't a reality to compare or to deem as the truth, the absolute reality to compare to everyone else's reality, then what is reality if it's so different from one another? And I'm going to re explain the definition of truth. Truth is stable. Truth does not change. That's what makes it truth. It's timeless. So if reality isn't timeless and there's not a certain reality, we are all living in different realities based on the individual, then what is reality? That means reality just depends on the individual, which means it's not real. It's not true. If something just depends on one person, well, not even one person, if something depends on nothing, basically, because reality doesn't really have any rules, if something isn't based on anything, then it's not, how can we define it as true? How can we define this as absolute, as something that is real? And actually, I'm going to use the word illusion instead of real because illusion simply means like it is seems real, but it's not. It's like deceptive in nature. Um, Realness. Okay, so we're gonna get a little more abstract here. So when I say reality is an illusion, this doesn't mean that the way you feel about reality, like the emotions that you feel, the experiences you have, the people that you talk to are not real. Um, this doesn't mean that if you hit your hand and bang in the wall, you would not experience pain. That's not what I mean. When I say it's an illusion, I basically mean that reality uh, has a way of deceiving us, as tricking us to believe that this is we are in an absolute realm. We are in something that lasts forever. We are something that we're experiencing a reality that's timeless. And what I'm simply trying to explain is that there's more. Like we are in this realm right now, and it's deceiving us as to be absolute, the truth, something that's everlasting, but this realm is not everlasting and it's fleeting and it will end. It's not something that we should deem as the truth, the absolute, the final destination of humans or the only destination of humans. There's more to this. There's more realms, basically. If you guys see me switching my camera, it's because my phone died. I mean, not my camera, my phone. Reality. And the answer is that there literally is no true perception because we have different perceptions. And we can't really say which one is true, which one is objective, because there's no objectivity. I mean, sorry, we can't really say which one is not objective or which one is not relative because everything in reality is objective, is relative. There's nothing about reality that's absolute. Well, except that's we're gonna get into that. But there's a couple things in I wouldn't say in well no, I will say in reality that is absolute, but it's uh it's separated from reality itself. And that's different like realizations, different I would deem these as spiritual realizations that are timeless and that won't change ever. But we will discuss this maybe not in this video, but yeah, let's just talk about reality. So guys, really think about that. Like if there's no objective, I mean, if there isn't a reality that is absolute, then reality doesn't it's not real. And the reason, well, I'm not going to say real, it's an illusion. The reason it's an illusion is because it portrays itself as absolute, as truth. Like when you wake up in the morning and you look at your life, you encounter your friends from school, you automatically are under the impression that this reality is real, is absolute because I'm living in this and I've always lived in this. But there's other people that woke up just like you and experience reality in a completely different way. Actually, there's thousands of people that have. So how can you deem your reality as truth if everyone is waking up the same way you are and experiencing life in a completely different manner? Then what makes your reality truth and not theirs? And the actual truth of this matter is that all realities are equally true um as the one you are experiencing now. And because of that, there's no absolute reality, which means that reality itself, we can't really categorize this as not an illusion, as not real, as real, if everyone is experiencing it in a different way. Um, yeah. And I'm going to reiterate this. When I say reality is an illusion, this doesn't mean that if you hit your hand on the wall, you won't experience pain, or that, your the relationships you uh, perceive as dear in your heart isn't real. That's not what I mean. I just mean that reality itself, you know, yes, we will experience pain. Yes, we will experience certain feelings. We will feel these things because we are human, but we can't we can't base realness on our sensory input alone because that's realness. What determines reality or not is beyond sensory input, and that itself it's kind of absurd to understand, but reality is beyond sensory input. We Yes, we feel pain and the pain is real, but the realness of our emotions does not determine reality because like I said, there's occurrences where our sensory input deceives us into thinking certain things are real and those things aren't. I probably sound like a crazy person in this video. But guys, I really encourage you to ponder on these ideas. I know they're very abstract, kind of queer, but ponder on them. Really think about it deeply. Like, yeah, deeply. And I'm going to reiterate that just because this reality is an illusion, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't care about like your personal relationships or like school. Like, I mean, you can take the nihilistic approach to this. I almost did when I first realized this, but that is not the most productive thing to do. And oh, I'm gonna explain why uh later in the video why it's not. But what I'm basically saying is that realness is realness shouldn't solely be defined by your sensory input. So yes, you are saying hi to your friends, you are seeing your friends, but just because you see them, you shouldn't define realness based on the fact that you are seeing them and you're experiencing them. Now, that doesn't mean that they are not real. The people here are real, but I'm basically saying that this physical realm, there's more to this physical realm. This is not the only destination of humans, or at least that's what I believe. So that doesn't mean that your friend isn't a real person. Like, I'm real, we are all real, but there's reality itself. We are basically, I believe we are beyond. Like, there's more to this life. We deem this reality as absolute, as our only destination. But I believe there's more to humans. We are just in this realm now. And this is where I'm going to explain why you shouldn't view this from a nihilistic angle. So, there's always been a debate of what the purpose of humans are. I truly believe that our purpose is to re experience divinity through forgetting it. And that is that considered a paradox? A oxymoron? No words. I don't know, but I really think our purpose is to re-experience divinity, and we believe we forgot it. So we actually, what I believe is we forgot it. But there's certain things in us that reminds us of it, and the reason why we forgot it is because in order to re-experience it again. Sorry, when I talk about this, I get excited. When I talk about these things, I get excited. But we yeah. So, and you might ask why. Uh, do we forget it? Well, in order to remember something, you have to forget it, and not only to remember, but to feel the intensity of what you realize, you must forget it to have that aha moment, that realization moment, in order to appreciate your realizations. This reminds me of what I said in my previous video of how, if we were always surrounded by good, we wouldn't consider the good to be good, because there's no bad to really emphasize how good the good is. And that's the same as forgetfulness and remembering something. Because, like, let's say that I'm using math as an example. Like, I love math so much. Honestly, I kind of like math. It's kind of like a puzzle to me, even though I'm not the best, but whatever. So it's like, let's say that you knew let's say that you really understood this math problem to the point where when people get it wrong, you look at them like a foolish little child. Like, how could you get this wrong? Because you know it so well. Most likely you are not going to appreciate the knowledge that you have of knowing this equation because you have always remembered it. Now compare this to not knowing this equation, but then you get that aha moment when, after many trials and errors, you've actually learned this. Then you'll appreciate this knowledge so much more. So I really believe that are trying to remember divinity and we forgot it in order to appreciate it and to re-experience divinity. Another way you could look at this is because when you forget something, you could remember it also in a different way. So I feel like that's what I believe. I believe in like reincarnation and all those things, blah blah blah. But I believe that we are re-experiencing divinity in order to get a different experience of divinity. And when I say divinity, of course, I'm referring to God, Allah. There's different, the great I am, higher power, higher consciousness. There's a plethora of I hope I pronounced that right, a plethora of phrases to describe divinity. I say divinity, universe, higher consciousness, because that resonates with me the most. But yes, I think we are here to experience divinity and to understand. In order to understand something, you have to look at it from many angles, and that's what I believe this human experience is for us to look at it through many angles, based on the knowledge we are receiving from our current human experience, from the information and the information also that we lack, in order to experience divinity at the highest vibration. That's why I truly believe. And it's, just my belief. Everyone has their own beliefs. We're entitled to our own opinions. But yeah, so that's why I believe you shouldn't look at this in a nihilistic route, because although this world is an illusion, which is why I believe, there's a purpose in living in this world. I believe the purpose is to re-experience divinity, and we have different experiences in this lifetime, different um, encounters, different obstacles we have to encounter. And I think these obstacles, when we seek within and we actually resolve this, and not really resolving the obstacle, because, like I said, external factors aren't the problems, it's the way we view in our mind. When we basically mature enough to alter our perception, basically to raise the vibration of our beingness in order to encounter these obstacles as not obstacles but positives, things that could actually help us, then we get a little closer to re-experiencing and vibrating at the same level as divinity. So I think different realizations, different obstacles, we need these things. And that's why I feel like you shouldn't look at this in a nihilistic approach. Actually, after I realized that, it helped me to take my personal relationships more seriously, because I understand that this world is fleeting, it's not everlasting, which means I have to do my best to approach every situation as if it's my last. Um, so I don't take it for granted, so I could really cherish these moments, because sometimes we get so caught up in life that because we kind of deem it as this final destination, the only destination, the only reality, we start to, I guess, take it for granted, take life for granted, and not approach situations as if it's our last. So this realization helped me to do that, helped me to really appreciate my friends, my family, and understand that, wow, this life is a gift. It truly is. This world is a gift. Not everyone has the gift of life, and you shouldn't take that for granted. It's something that you should cherish, and it's precious. Oh, another thing, guys, when I talk about realizations on this channel, this is not things that like I look up or read in the internet and then I just get convicted and like, let me make a video. No, like the the way I know these are realizations is because it changes my internal state. And that's another way how you could understand when you get a realization too, like if it actually changes your beingness and you actually see a change in your being, then you could really understand that these are realizations. And guys, when I'm as I'm saying this, I'm not like I don't have a god complex. Like I'm not like in my mind saying, "Oh, I must share my realizations, blah 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 blah. This will help the world." Like that's not how I am. I want to share like certain realizations on this channel that I get, because the more realizations you get, the more you understand this world, this physical realm, and what it is versus what it's not, the less you will internally suffer. Ignorance is essentially what causes suffering. The more ignorant you are, the more you will suffer. So if you realize, the more realizations you have, and the more mature you become, then the less you will suffer, because suffering is internal. Um, I say this all the time because it's the truth, but we suffer internally, and external factors aren't what causes your suffering. Suffering only occurs in the mind. So if your mind is mature and you have enough realizations, you will suffer less, and not only suffer, but you will be more convicted to share your realizations with other people to help them suffer less. And that's why I make this channel. Not I don't have a complex. Words. I don't have a God complex. I just I've experienced internal suffering before and being in the mind loop, and it's not good. It hurts. It's not good at all. So this is me, like I'm doing this out of love. I want to share certain realizations. I know they seem abstract. They seem weird. I want to explain it so everyone can understand, but I have a deep love for humanity, and I want to share certain things because I feel like if people actually understand this, then they could their lives will change in a miraculous way, and they'll start to see the world for how magical it actually is. This world is pure magic. No, it really is. Um, you just have to be aligned to actually realize it. But yeah, so yeah, I'm so excited. I love doing this. Like doing this. I hope I don't seem jumpy. I seem jumpy because I'm excited. Like doing this fills me with so much excitement. I love just talking about realizations and like spiritual things. It truly fills me with so much fulfillment and joy. So yeah, I hope this video helps. I'm gonna close it because it's getting a little late. But I know this video was abstract. Don't hesitate to comment below. I would love to hear you guys' perspectives. Even if you disagree with what I'm saying, please let me know because I would love to discuss. I love to discuss about these things. And yeah, so guys, I really hope you enjoyed this and stay encouraged. Bye. See you next video. Bye bye.